Thank you
course.
so much. Yes, we had a great time, great weather. KTVU did their zip trip from 9 to 10 and then live streamed it after. And we had a lot of positive remarks. So hopefully we just keep bringing more people back. It's been a bit of a challenge. Some of the folks that we had pre-pandemic, getting them to come back post-pandemic, but we will continue with our outreach to make it bigger and better each year.
You do a great
The crowd was quite good given the threat of heat.
Yes, yes. Well, we got lucky. It was 2 days before. It was so much warmer, and then we definitely got lucky.
You sure did, yes. Councilmember Tracy Jensen, are you ready?
Thanks, Madeline.
Great, good to see you. There you are. Okay. All right, we're going to start. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. Our regular host, Becca Parada, is under the weather today, so you're going to have me instead. I'm excited to have a great topic today with Councilmember Tracy Jensen and our Operation and Communication Officer, Sarah Henry. Both of them are going to take the lead right now. I think we're going to start with Councilmember Tracy Jensen to give us an update on what's happening in the incoming agenda item, the amendment of the charter and other updates as well. So Councilmember Tracy Jensen, take it away, please.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see everyone. And I did hear everyone talking about the wonderful parade that we had. Thanks to Sarah and ARPD staff. Interestingly, I got to ride in a brand new vehicle that is not even on the market yet. It's called a Neos, and it looks like a Land Rover or a tank. So some of you, if you were at the parade, may have seen me standing through the sunroof, which they had one on each side, the driver's and the passenger side. But it was fascinating and unfortunate. Danielle Mueller may not be here, but I was a little sad to be driving in it to hear and see that there are companies out there that are just going to build big gas guzzling cars. This isn't even an EV. That there's companies out there that there's still a market for that, unfortunately, but not in Alameda, right? We're all going to be EV here in Alameda. So also Abby Thorne Lyman, who I see is here from Alameda Economic Development. And this morning, I was asked by Becca and Madeline to talk a little bit about the referral that I was put forward and that my colleagues approved to put on the agenda for the meeting. It was initially going to be at our meeting on the 2nd of July, but it was postponed until the meeting, which will be next Tuesday, the 16th. And that is actually a charter amendment. And there is urgency for this matter to be heard next week because the charter amendment would have to be approved by the city council in order to be put on the ballot for November of this year. And so that there is urgency, and it was postponed once. And I want to just point out that if it's postponed again, or if it gets pulled to not be heard, then it will be either delayed for probably a year or more likely 2 years. And so for background on this, it's an amendment to the city charter, and I want to remove a provision that was put into the charter in 1943. And really, there weren't a lot of great records in 1943. I have to give a little kudos to our city staff and our city clerk, because those of you who've ever read the minutes from our city council meetings, you know that they're about 6 or 8 or 10, depending on how long the meeting was. They can be quite extensive. Well, in 1943, it was a page and a half for a city council meeting. And so we don't have a lot of information from then about why the city council thought it was necessary to put this amendment into the city charter, which established that there would be a supermajority requirement property. So that would mean that 4 out of 5 council members would have to approve any lease or any sale of city property over $1,000. And at that time, what we do know, even though we don't have much in terms of minutes or newspaper articles or any background information, we do know that the city didn't own a lot of property at that time. This was prior to the Navy owned some property in 1943, and they owned quite a bit of Alameda, as a matter of fact. But the city really was relatively limited in the amount of property that was owned. And so, while we don't know what was happening then, we know that the city council put on the ballot and voters approved an amendment to establish that anytime there was a property transaction of city property, it had to be done by 4 votes out of 5. And so that's the background. I would like to amend this because I don't think it's effective. I don't think it's supportive of economic development, and especially with the amount and degree of property that we have at Alameda Point, it's limiting the city's ability to bring in new and economically viable businesses, in my opinion. And plus, I don't know why it was put there, so I don't like that. And so where we are now, it may be going on it is on the agenda, and I hope that it'll be heard. I want this to be addressed, to eliminate this charter provision and to allow for a majority vote for property transactions. There is some discussion going on right now about whether or not that's going to be supported by our labor partners in Alameda. And there's some concern that I'm aware of, that I've heard, that our labor partners may feel that this would allow or open the possibility that there could be some development that didn't include labor provisions and include labor standards such as things like PLAs, to ensure that the development was done with using the building trades and done with supportive wages to support families. So that's under discussion. I know staff's been working really hard on those issues, and at this point we are just going to wait and see. And I am going to stop there and see if anyone has any questions.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Is there anybody that has any questions for Councilmember Tracy Jensen?
Okay.
So Tracy, I have a question. This requires 3 votes next Tuesday from the council.
To put the charter amendment on the ballot, yes, it requires 3 votes. And that's a good question. Last week, you all may have been noticed our meeting last week. We had another ballot proposal, which would have put a bond measure on the ballot. And so any taxing measures require 4 votes of the city council. And so that was not passed because there were not 4 votes to put the bond measure on the ballot. But this measure is not a taxing measure. It's an amendment to the city charter. And so it does just require 3 votes.
So when would we know if this labor issue has been resolved before this comes to the council next Tuesday?
Well, we will know for sure by Tuesday when we see it at the city council. It's too late now to amend the report, and I would not ask staff to amend the report or to add anything to the agenda report. So it would happen that we would be in a meeting and there would be suggested amendments, suggested additional language during the meeting. Or if it turns out that that I feel, and I'm the author, of this provision, and if I feel that it's not going to go forward, or that there's too many conditions, and given what I put this referral forward to do, and believe me, I'm a tremendous supporter of labor and families and working wages, and I want to move this forward. And my intention actually was to ensure that we could have development projects that included labor, that supported labor, and that were done with labor agreements. So I feel and continue to feel that we have provisions in place for city properties that will include and will establish those labor labor standards and labor requirements that will support the trades and Alameda families. And I feel strongly, if I felt that this, I wouldn't have put this forward if I thought that those standards were going to be diluted in any way. But I'm listening, and this is meant to improve efficiency, and it's meant to support economic development, including families, including labor, including businesses. And so I'm just waiting to learn more and to see what might what barriers there might be from our partners.
Okay, so Tracy, I have another question. I know that the business community, before they added this thing about the labor, everybody was in, well, actually majority of the business were in support, especially my board members, and we sent a support letter. But now with the labor thing added there, it's questionable with the business community. How do you feel about that?
Well, I agree. It's questionable for me as the author of this provision. I want to do this, and I was very gratified to see the support of the chamber and of the business community. And certainly, if that support is not provided, and if you, the chamber, and your members feel that there are issues that aren't being addressed in the draft language, or issues, the unintended consequences of this charter amendment, then that is important, and I would not want to move forward without the support of the chamber and of labor.
Thank you, Tracy. Does anybody have any clarifying questions for our council member? Kathy, go ahead.
Hi, Councilmember Jensen. I'm curious, through this process, are there other places along the way that labor and the contract specifics can be addressed? For example, in planning, throughout the approval process?
Well, of course, and thanks, Kathy. I am not by any means an expert, although I was elected to provide expertise. I'm not an expert on I've learned a lot being on city council, and I know about our development projects, our development agreements. I know that we do have measures in place particularly at Alameda Point, to ensure that any large projects are done with labor agreements. And but I do understand also that some of those provisions were done by a resolution, which we're talking about again, a resolution which requires 3 votes, and some of those standards could be amended or eliminated with 3 votes. And so that I think is part of the concern, that charter amendments, super majorities, is 4 votes. And so from my understanding is this goes both ways. The 4 votes are established were established to ensure, I guess, even though I don't have a lot of background, to ensure that there was no bias in making these decisions, and that there was overwhelming support on the council in making these transactional decisions. But on the other hand, there's, I guess, concern that goes the other way, and there could be bias in terms against having labor agreements in place, and that could be one of the reasons that the supermajority is effective for our labor partners. Does that answer your question? And Debbie had a question too.
I did. Thank you, Tracy. A couple of questions. One is, have all the sales that have preceded this from the city, like for Alameda Point, have they all had a supermajority historically? And number 2, have there been any discussions with labor of some sort of amendment to your proposal that would ensure or reassure labor that they were involved in any sale of property or subsequent use of it and disposition of property?
Yes, but yes to both questions. That each, I've been on the council since the fall of 2022, and there, in each of the, well, first let me say, when I joined the council, I had no idea the magnitude of decision making that was devoted to property transactions. That Alameda, the city of Alameda is as you all know, is a landlord, a very large landlord of a large amount of property at Alameda Point in particular. And so each time there's a discussion, each time you see on the agenda negotiations or a lease discussion, that will take 4 votes of the city council to move forward. And so leases, which have been most of the transactions since I've been on the city council, but more and more there's been sales of property, especially at Alameda Point, and those also require 4 votes of the city council. So to answer your first question, yes, since 1943, it's taken 4 votes to lease or sell any property that's owned by the answer is yes to that as well. I know city staff, the city manager in particular, has been working with labor representatives. I've had conversations with reps from the building trades as well, and there may be language that our labor partners would want to see, and that would help them to be more supportive of this amendment. But that's, for me, as the author of, as the leader for this provision, I'm not sure that is going to be effective and it's going to provide the outcome that I had intended. And the other concern is that it may make it too confusing, because this is going to be on the ballot. And so if it's on the ballot and there's, saying that we want to amend section 312, I think it is, of the charter, and eliminate one sentence is one thing, but adding more provisions, saying if we eliminate this, then we want to add this, then it gets confusing, and it would certainly, in my opinion, it would reduce the likelihood of passage. And I am afraid that it would not exactly tie the hands of the city council, but it would. I'm trying to streamline here, and I'm not sure that by adding more to the charter would actually fulfill my intentions here. So did that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Anyone else has a question for our council member?
I was just going to add onto Councilmember Jensen's and to your question, Debbie, about has it always been this way that we've done it with 4 votes? Yes, but we have, of course, lost opportunities to both lease and sell buildings at Alameda Point because of that requirement. So the city, and when we're financing all of our projects and whatnot, those are revenues that we could have had if we didn't have that supermajority requirement. And I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Thank you. So, Councilmember
And I want to point one other thing out too, and thanks for bringing that up, Sarah. I just want to go back to some of you were paying attention when we had some issues come up to the city council about a sale or a lease to Science Corp. And Science Corp is an organization that wanted to lease one of our large buildings at Alameda Point, and it had it already is an existing Alameda business. They had a business plan that would really address blindness in many ways. And there was controversy at that time, and there continues to be, about whether using animals for testing of devices or medications is ethical. And so at that point, the city did not move forward. But there were 2 things that happened here. First of all, there was the actual moving forward with the lease, which would have taken 4 votes. And so the lease was not negotiated, or we did not move forward with that because there was not 4 votes. But then there was subsequently a discussion about having an ordinance to not allow for testing, but that would have only taken 3 votes. So this is kind of the challenge here. We can pass certain things with 3 votes. We could pass an ordinance to say that there will be no city property leased or sold if there's animal testing. But on the other hand, we have this 4-vote requirement that says we won't lease or sell city property if there's not 4 votes available. So to me, it's confusing and it's not efficient and it's not transparent. And I that's why I'm trying to move forward with this what initially I thought was just kind of a way to make our to have more efficient and more economically supportive transactions.
Councilmember Jensen, also to my knowledge that most of the cities in the Bay Area are only requiring 3 votes on their properties. We're one of the very rare ones, exception of Oakland, that still have that 4 votes there, correct?
That's correct, Madeline. That's a good point. Most, except for Oakland, all other cities do not require a supermajority. And in fact, many cities in Alameda County allow for the city manager to make these decisions. They don't even require city council approval. And most other agencies, you know, I was on the board of Alameda Health System, which doesn't necessarily own a lot of property, but enters into leases regularly. And I was on the board of Alameda Healthcare District, which owns a large piece of property in the middle of Alameda. And those types of transactions do require negotiation, but often, but not a supermajority. When we entered into the agreement with Alameda Health System between the healthcare district, it didn't require a supermajority, although there was one. And so these kind of tie the hands, these supermajority requirements tie the hands of leaders. And in my opinion, to a certain extent, we have a majority rule. You know, we elect people by majority and we have majority representation. And so having a supermajority, in my opinion, is I don't want to say undemocratic, but it certainly is burdensome to economic development, to efficiency, and actually progress in many ways, in my opinion.
I have one more thing that I wanted to add is the labor partners. Is it all the same applied to all the cities? I mean, now they're implementing something for the city of Alameda for this charter. What about the rest of the cities in Alameda County? Do they have the same language added to their charters from the labor partners?
This is just for Alameda, and this would just, as I understand it, this would be maybe the first time that there would be labor standards established in a city charter, at least for Alameda. We don't have any other requirements for labor in the city charter. We have many requirements by resolution, by ordinance, by from the state. The state has standards that are in place for some developments, especially subsidized housing developments. But this would be, it's my understanding, and Abby, if you have any, or Sarah, if you have additional information, but it's my understanding that this would be the first time that such a provision would be in a charter city's charter.
Yeah, I don't have any other information, but I suspect Councilmember Jensen, you're correct. We didn't do extensive research on labor, but I say every other city has the same issue we do of the charter is really a very permanent document. So putting something in that might be fleeting or change over time just doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, believe me, I wish I could talk to Mayor Godfrey and the other council members from 1943 and get some information about what they were wanting to address there.
We'll get you a Ouija board.
Anything else before we turn it over? I don't see it. Thank you so much for your time and information very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm just going to say, please email me or call me if you have any other questions or concerns. And also, I want to put in a plug. Go to my website if you'd like to learn more about this issue. I have a little bit in there, or get in touch with me. It's tracyjensen.com. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Now I'd like to turn it over to our communications and legislative affairs Officer, Sarah Henry. Take it away and give us the updates on what's happening with the bills that are coming to City of Alameda. What did you support? What did you not support? And any other
Yes.
news that you would.
Yes, thank you so much, Madeline. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here with you this morning. The first thing I wanted to talk about before hopping into bills was the infrastructure bond. Councilmember Jensen touched on it, but we did bring an infrastructure bond proposal to the City Council at the last meeting on the 2nd. We have an incredible need. We've identified over $800 million of infrastructure needs throughout the city, and that number is growing as costs increase. And so we had put to for the council's consideration a $150 million infrastructure bond that would be paid for by property owners over time, where we would tranche installments, probably 3 installments of $50 million to complete some traffic safety projects, potentially build a new fire station as we need more fire safety resources on the west end, potentially have a new animal shelter. We had a very a list of potential projects that we would consider over the next 10 years for this bond. And unfortunately, we received 3 votes, but we needed 4 because of it's a bond measure, like the council member explained. So that did not move forward. And for this isn't the first time that we've talked about an infrastructure bond in Alameda. It's been a long time coming. When back in 2018, we did a significant amount of research and outreach to the community, to the chamber as well, about our infrastructure needs, and had the chamber support, of course, for that proposal. And then that we decided at that time, the council decided, we gave a bunch of different revenue measure options at that time. The council decided, well, let's go for the sales tax. And so we did that, and the sales tax measure passed at that time. And then we were bringing back the infrastructure bond in 2020. And of course, we had this little thing called COVID-19 came up, and we were not able to. That was actually, we were planning to bring that to council on that first meeting in March, and that meeting was canceled. And then, then everything else happened. So this was kind of our bringing it back post-COVID. And we were really excited to have the opportunity to be able to put something on the ballot for voters to consider. But it wasn't approved by 4 votes, so that if we do decide to move that forward at another time, it'll have to be for an election, maybe just like the council member was saying with this measure, it could be 2 years from now or even longer. And then our biggest concern, of course, is that just costs keep increasing so much that our needs will just continue to grow. I just wanted to make sure. So we did a lot of outreach, and we had sent a couple of mailers, and we did all of that. And I just wanted to make sure folks know that that's not moving forward. So you won't see that on the November ballot. But we are still doing the very best we can in managing our resources and fixing our streets and filling our potholes, and we'll continue to do so. Councilmember, were you going to say something?
No, sorry, but I will now, actually. Sorry, thanks, Sarah. I want to just thank Sarah Sarah did a tremendous amount of work, Sarah and staff, to do outreach. I know she did outreach with a lot of chamber members and to the community. There were several surveys, and so there was information, and it was really important to have the data to know that we would be able to move forward. And it's unfortunate. I was very supportive of getting this on the ballot and giving voters the opportunity to make the decision, but unfortunately that didn't happen because we needed a supermajority.
Yeah. Madeline, did you have a question?
Well, yes, kind of like a comment or a question, same time, is like, so if it's not going to go through this year, unfortunately, and it's going to come back probably 25 or 26, what would you do differently to inform the business community and the council that it's a priority to take this into voting the following time?
I don't know that we'd have to do anything differently to inform the business community. I feel like, we did some polling. We had 68% of, people that we polled in our, scientifically, statistically relevant survey were supportive of a measure. I definitely think we had the Alamedan support. It was just really the council members' support that we didn't have, which is, because we needed that supermajority. So I think that, in a couple of years, and maybe we have a different council, maybe we have different needs, maybe our needs have grown. I mean, I think it's just, we'll have different scenarios to consider when we bring it forward. So I think our strategy will be dependent on whatever's going on at that time.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's not happening, but that's okay, because like, again, we'll keep filling the potholes even without those monies, and we'll do our best with what we have. And we have a really great team. Our staff is amazing, as you all know, but we have a really wonderful team of department directors and then staff at all levels, and they're working really hard for Alameda. So the next thing I wanted to share is about the bills that we're supporting. We have several dozen bills that we're supporting. I put them up on the website at alamedaca.gov/legislative affairs. I could share my screen, but I mean, anybody can go online. So I can leave the link with Madeline later and you can check it out, but I update that every couple of weeks. And right now we're supporting a bunch of bills you'll see on retail theft prevention, common sense gun laws. We have fentanyl protections. We have a flavored tobacco ban here in Alameda, and we want to protect folks from, especially kids from tobacco and other kind of unsafe products. We have a couple housing bills that we've supported. So we are we're constantly looking at the legislation that's being proposed, and when it is helpful for the city of Alameda, for our residents and for our businesses, we will support that legislation. And then we have a state lobbyist who does a tremendous job, and she will, once we've sent in our letter into the portal, she will then go to the, as it's making its way through different committees and hearings, she'll go and she'll testify on the city's behalf, and she does a great job. So if there are measures that you're looking at that you think the chamber is interested in supporting, we'd be happy to take a look and potentially support that alongside with you. And then if you are ever interested in supporting what we're supporting, you can see it online, and then I'm happy to have that conversation too. But that's a big chunk of work that we do, and it's just really important to kind of keep the city as relevant as possible at the state level. And then at the federal level, we're also doing a good amount of work. Right now we're waiting. The VA is doing, we're doing the columbarium and the clinic over at Alameda Point, and we are on a little bit of a pause right now as the VA is doing a study. That study is supposed to be complete in August, so next month. And then once we get that study back, hopefully we'll be able to move forward with the next steps on getting those projects moving. And I was listening to the KTVU zip trip before the parade, and Congresswoman Barbara Lee was there, and you're talking about Alameda and talking about the parade, but of course also talking about the VA facility, and also talking about the many millions of dollars that have been allocated and funded by the federal government for this facility here in Alameda. So that was great to hear, and great to have her support. And so hopefully we'll have news about that in the next month or so. And then the other thing that we work on with our federal lawmakers is, for the last couple of years, they've had community project funding has come back, which is also known as an earmark. And so we've been lucky to receive a couple $1 million in earmarks from our congressional leaders and our Senate leaders for different projects, for sea level rise, for criminal justice. One project that we have funded right now is we're getting funded this year is a victim advocate unit as part of our city attorney's office, where somebody who might not feel comfortable going to the police department, they can come to this victim advocate unit and talk about ways to move forward. And so that'll be something where we're on the cutting edge, and we're leading other cities in the region on that. So we're excited about that. And then I wanted to make sure, Madeline, you mentioned it at the beginning of this call, but we have a very exciting event happening next week, a week from today, next Wednesday morning. If you're up early, Councilmember Jensen has her little duck. We have our water shuttles launching. Super cool. Starts at 7 a.m. So if you want to ride the first one, we'll see you at 7 a.m. down at Boho Circle, Immigrant Park. That's right behind Target. And this little boat, which I'm sure you've seen it on social media or in other ways, but this little yellow boat will go back and forth across the estuary 37 times a day. Pretty amazing. And it's free. And so it'll take people from Alameda to Jack London Square and back again. It'll take people from Jack London Square to Alameda. We've heard so much from Oakland residents that they are thrilled to be able to come into Alameda, go to Target, go to dinner, go to Safeway, enjoy our businesses. And we also have coming a week later, something called the Island Hopper, which is a land shuttle that will take people around Spirits Alley. But what's really cool is that land shuttle will also connect to the water shuttle. So if you are, let's say, a Jack London Square resident, you can come over to Alameda on your free water shuttle. Then you can hop on the Island Hopper and go all around Spirits Alley. And then you can come back and hop back on your water shuttle to go back over to Jack London Square. And of course, you can do that vice versa too. So we're super excited about that. And then the other thing that I was going to mention was just what's on the next city council meeting. Of course, Councilmember Jensen's charter amendment is the first item on the regular agenda. So, so hopefully we'll get to that right away. We also have the final passage of Building 25. That's the Alameda Soda lease. And again, that final passage takes 4 votes. And then we have some submerged parcels on Fernside, that's been declared surplus land. So that's just the city's purchase and then sale to the homeowners of that land. And then we have what I think is important to everybody here is an economic development status update where people will provide feedback on economic development in the city. And I know that Lois Butler is here. So I think she'll be leading that presentation. And that was my report. So I wanted to end with saying that I just love the chamber so much, and I'm your biggest cheerleader. And if there's anything that I can do to help you or to support you and to support all of the businesses, I'm here, and I'm just happy to be involved and be connected.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And we love you very much. You're just a text away all the time, every day. We appreciate it very much. Thank you. What is the schedule of the Woodstock and the Island Hopper?
Yep, good question. So Woodstock is Wednesday through Sunday. So it's 5 days a week, but we did it Wednesday through Sunday so that we could capture the weekend. It's a 2-year pilot. So it's also something where we'll be continuing to make changes throughout those 2 years and then, into the future. But it's fully funded for the 2 years. So right now it's different. So the Wednesday, Thursday schedule is different from the Friday schedule, which is different from the Saturday, Sunday schedule. So you'll have to go onto the city's website, which is alamedaca.gov/water shuttle to get the exact schedule. But it runs, like I said, it has 37 trips a day. So it runs really frequently and it starts at 7 a.m. So if you want to take that first ride, we'll see you at Boho Circle, Immigrant Park at 7 a.m. And Councilmember Jensen will be putting that on your calendar.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, and the
Thank
Island
you so
Hopper, you asked
much.
about that too. So the Island Hopper is just Saturdays and Sundays. So last year when we did this, unfortunately we had, I don't know if anybody took the shuttle last year, but we sadly, the provider that was hired just did not perform the services that they were hired to perform. And in fact, there were times where the shuttle driver was taking a nap in the shuttle for like 3 hours. And anyway, it just didn't work, right? It didn't work out. So we had some problems. And so this year we have a phenomenal shuttle provider. We're super excited. They have multiple shuttles. So we're guaranteed that it's going to run much more quickly, much more smoothly. And it will only going to do it on Saturday and Sundays in order to increase the amount of vehicles, which we think is a good way to go because Friday ridership wasn't as much as the weekends. And then we'll see how this goes too. It's a pilot. This one is only a 10-week pilot. So it's going to start the 27th, or no, the 28th or 29th. We'll be sending out a press release this week about that, but it's going to start at the end of July and then it's going to run through September for the 10-week period.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank
Anyone
you.
has any, Sarah? I'm not seeing any hands raised,
None?
but thank you.
Come on, ask away.
You are very detailed. You give us all the details. So it's kind of like, okay, we don't have any questions for you, but you did an awesome job. As always, Sarah, you're always great in communicating everything that happens in the city through emails, and you always reach out to not only the chamber, to the West End and to downtown. So we also communicate your information to our businesses as well. So great job as always, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know Lois was on the call here. Lois, are you there?
I am here. Sorry that I'm not on screen. I'm driving into work. I
Uh,
don't have any updates. I was going to give the update about the economic development presentation on the city council meeting. It would be great to see folks at that meeting if you're available. And I also wanted to thank everyone on this call for working with me throughout the years. This will be my last meeting. So it's been great. I've loved working for the city of Alameda. I will always feel like I'm a part of the city of Alameda.
Thank you, Lois, so much for
Thank you.
everything you did. We really appreciate you very much. Abby, do you have anything you want to add about the next Tuesday item for the economic development?
No, I have nothing to add. I think we've covered it all. Thanks, Madeline.
All right. I'm gonna go now to Kathy, downtown Alameda. What's new there?
Well, first of all, I'd like to share my appreciation and congratulations for the 4th of July parade. I think the KTVU coverage was remarkable. I have heard nothing but high praise and excitement about Alameda being showcased in such a positive way. It was amazing. And I've actually had people ask if there's a link to a recording. So I'll check with you, Sarah, see if that's available. It was a robust, robust coverage, and it was all really great and fun, as well as the parade. Also, I wanted to take a moment and thank Lois Butler for her leadership, her guidance, her sharing of her knowledge, and her ability to go in and advocate for the business community. We are certainly going to miss you. So thank you so much for everything you've done for the community, and personally for me. I cannot share how much I appreciate everything that you've done. So thank you. And the Art and Wine Fair is coming up the end of the month, July 27th and 28th. 2 amazing days of music and fun and arts and all kinds of entertainment. Admission is free. And we're really excited to welcome the community back in such a wonderful and fun environment. So that's it for me.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Kathy. And yes, we're looking forward to that weekend. It'll be a fun weekend there in downtown. Great job. I mean, I'm seeing Maria Henderson from AC Transit. If you would like to share anything, just chime in, please. Do you have any updates?
Yeah, right now we don't, but Realign will be coming back to our board on August 7th, and they'll be making a decision on what direction we'll be going forward next. So more updates in August.
You do a great job updating us all the time, and you always go to public comments and on non-agenda items at the council meeting and give updates. It's just phenomenal. Thank you so much for everything you do for us. We appreciate you very much.
Well, and I just wanted to thank the city of Alameda too for the 4th of July parade and for organizing that. It was a great event, and thanks for having us.
Great, I'm glad. Anyone else on the screen here who wants to share any updates? I know that Luis Nakada from Alameda Hospital is on the call too.
Hi, everybody. No real updates. We are in the very beginning planning stages of another health fair in the fall. So just keep your eyes open for more information.
Great. Thank you so much. And for the chamber, we have a couple of things happening now. We do have our applications open for Leadership 24-25. That will start on September 13th. So anyone that has a colleague or a team member that would like to participate and to learn more about what the city of Alameda is consisting of, all the components, will be a great opportunity for you to learn more about the city. And then our economic forecast is coming on September 26th, 11 to 1 at the Hornet. We're getting ready for that as well. Those are the only 2 things that we're focusing on right now for September. So if no one else has anything, we will see you on August 14. The theme of that August 14 is back to school and back to education. We will have our new chancellor of the Peralta district joining us, as well as the new president of College of Alameda and Jennifer Williams from AUSD as well. So stay tuned for that event. And thank you all for your time.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
Madeline.
day. Stay. The weather in
thank you.
Alameda is. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.